This episode of The Movie Jungle is brought to you by Salmon Cheetos. They don't exist, so you can't buy them.
Gross.
Should I sing the theme song now?
Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, I'll play the real one.
Meanwhile, back in the jungle.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Movie Jungle. Mike T is with me again today, and we have some fun stuff lined up for you. Just quick, off the top, just a reminder to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Movie Jungle. Pretty easy to remember. I think you guys can do it. And I'm posting all these on YouTube, and I'm considering actually posting the YouTube videos a day early. So if you want to hear it on Sunday and not wait for hashtag Movie Jungle Monday, you can go over to YouTube and check it out there. So I think that'd be kind of a fun perk for those that are viewing it or listening to it on YouTube. And hopefully in the future, that'll be actual video of people talking occasionally instead of a static image. But we'll see. I'll see if I can figure something out. I told them at the beginning of last episode, Mike, with Betty, that we were recording it and it might be a video. And it didn't work out. Her phone cut out in the middle of the video and it got messed up. But anyways, so do all the things, social media, The Movie Jungle, and help spread the word so we can keep it rolling. Mike,
a website coming at you soon too.
Yes, I did secure the domain name, so we'll definitely have to get that rolling. I'm excited about that because we're gonna do put some blog content out there, link out to everything else. Just kind of a nice home base for us.
Yeah, hoping for it.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to do some merch. Yeah, lots of options.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so first of all, before we jump into the news, how's things?
Things are good, man. I built a new standing desk that I'm sitting at right now.
Yep. Perfect.
But yeah, that went pretty well. I think I have to put another coat of paint on it. But other than that, yeah, things are looking up.
Beautiful. Literally, the height of your desk has gone up.
It has gone up.
Just make it an inch taller every week, and then you'll need to build a second floor to use it.
That's true. You know what? I'm getting better at this whole woodworking thing. I've built myself a shed. I built myself some planter boxes, and now I built myself a desk. Who knows what's next?
Could build a wooden robot person, a butler.
I could.
Yeah, an Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I just told myself my idea was great. That's what cool people do, right?
I was there for you.
Okay. That's exciting to me because I love woodworking. I love building things, and so the fact that you're getting into it makes me very happy. And when we're allowed to hang out with each other again, we'll have to build some cool stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I was pretty proud of myself. I bought a pocket hole jig, and I thought that was the coolest thing I've bought in a few weeks.
Nice. A Craig jig?
Pretty excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, those are dope. I wish I had one of those. So anyways, we're going to talk woodworking for the first 40, 45 minutes probably, and then we'll shift things over back to movies. Just kidding. Don't go anywhere.
Woodshop jungle.
Yeah. No, we got some news off the top. We got a few pretty interesting things. And then today's episode is all about one of the best movies of the 90s, Demolition Man.
Demolition Man.
So excited. Do you want to give me a Demolition Man quote real quick before we get into the news?
Oh,
what's the first one that jumps to mind? Sorry, I put him on the spot so bad.
You did. Probably Rob Schneider. He doesn't know how the 3 seashells work.
Yeah, that's a classic. That's a good choice. All right. Anyways, but first, news. So let's get into that a little bit. I got a few interesting stories. Some of them are just kind of quick, fun facts, and some of them we'll talk a little bit more about. But I'm going to start it off with this. Apparently, celebrities have filmed a secret homemade Princess Bride fan film.
That's awesome.
Which is so incredible.
I need to see that.
I know, me too. I don't know where to find it yet. I literally found it right before we started recording, so I'm going to have to track it down and try to watch it if it's available. But We're talking Hugh Jackman, Tiffany Haddish, Josh Gad, Joe Jonas, and more. So a pretty notable bunch of people have been posting and creating this movie. I think people are posting clips, and then maybe someday someone will edit them all together and we can watch it in one place. But it is everything I need right now. I'm looking at a picture of Taika Waititi's in on it. Like, yeah. So looking forward to checking that out. I wish I'd found out about it a little sooner so we could talk more about it. But I just think it's fantastic because that movie's dope.
That's pretty cool. That reminds me, it's sort of a not well kept secret in Hollywood that Topher Grace loves to spend his free time re-editing movies.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a top secret version of the prequels that he has edited down into a single movie.
Yep.
That I very much want to see, but will never be able to see. He'll never post it.
I would kill to watch that, dude. I know he'll never be allowed to, but I want to watch it so bad.
Apparently it's really good.
You could, like, yeah, it probably is amazing. The prequels as one movie is kind of a dream come true.
Yeah, that could work.
I mean, I don't want to get us too off track, but imagine, too, if someone did the new sequel trilogy as one movie and got rid of as much of the bad stuff as you can while still having a coherent story. I wonder if I think it would be better, but I wonder
it'd be like an episode of Robot Chicken. It'd be 11 minutes long.
Yeah, if you only kept the good stuff. Oh no, we're gonna do a Star Wars series at some point pretty soon here, so it'll be fun to get into the weeds on those. But
yeah, because no podcast has ever done a episode by episode Star Wars review.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Star Wars, it sounded like you had some news for us too.
Yeah. So.
God, it'd be cool to be the first people to talk Star Wars on a podcast. That's getting me excited now.
So The Empire Strikes Back was back in theaters this past weekend, and for the first time since its 1997 reissue, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back is at the top of the box office and is expected to clear the weekend with almost 500,000.
Oh my god, that's so weird. It's weird on so many levels because A, what theaters are open that are showing this? B, like, also, if you guys don't know, I'll be using the code word cheese to describe the disease that is causing us all to stay home so YouTube doesn't demonetize me. But so like, yeah, what theaters are open that are showing this, who's going, and also how funny is it that the top movie did 500,000 and it should hold.
That's great.
It's so good. That's really funny. I like that a lot.
I thought that was pretty great. I mean, there's some other great movies that are out right now. Jurassic Park is also back in theaters. Jaws is back in theaters.
Gee, I heard theaters are going to be doing this, like showing these old movies, and I am all about it.
I mean, they have to do whatever they can to stay alive. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I've watched a lot of movies recently on the streaming services that were supposed to be nationwide releases, and that, I mean, if this goes on too much longer, that might be the new norm.
Oh, I hope not, dude. I love my theater experience. Like, I'm already super sad that I think it's Beverly Hills Cop 4 is going to be a Netflix movie. It breaks my heart. Like, I hope there's like some small local weird cinema that puts it in, or like a theater here or there. At least I live near Seattle. It's a big enough city that maybe there will be some weird theater that shows it. But if I have to watch that on my couch for the first time, I'm going to be pretty damn disappointed.
Well, so yeah, get lucky, win the lottery, build your own in-house theater, and then hire people to run it. So
That'd be
you have
great.
your own experience.
I'll hire him to run it, but I don't want to train him or like get to know them at all. I want them to be strangers and occasionally not do that good of a job, just to make sure the experience is authentic.
Right. Sometimes give you like 1 hour old popcorn just because.
Yeah, like every 10th movie, give me the crap at the bottom. It's all little tiny pieces and it's 10 times saltier than it should be. That would suck. I don't want that at all. But Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah, I just opened my Regal app while we were talking about it, and it says their reopening's beginning July 31st, hopefully. But I've seen it say July 10th before, so hopefully they don't push it back again because I need my theater fix. I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
I bought real movie theater butter / oil, whatever it is, they have it at the grocery store, just to because I've seen it so many times, but I've never actually got it, which is weird because I ate a stupid amount of popcorn. I usually just melt butter over it, and I've tried vegan butter recently just to give it a shot and try to cut down the dairy a little bit because eating too much dairy in general doesn't make me feel great. So I tried the vegan butter, and some of it's actually decent. It's not good enough for me to be like, I have no desire to put real butter on there again. The real butter is still superior flavor. But this other stuff, like, it definitely tastes more like movie theater oil. I'm not even going to call it butter anymore. It's oil. It's movie theater oil. Can you oil my popcorn halfway through and on top? Thank you. I'm going to start saying that. Like, quit lying to everybody. It's not butter. And it actually, movie theater oil is vegan. But anyways, it's okay. All that to say, it's okay. it's fine.
Oil me up.
Yeah. So I've mixed it in with butter before too. Like I didn't have enough butter for a whole batch, so I put the little bit of butter I do have, and then I just finish it off with this oil, and then I mix it all up with a butter knife, and it's fine. I'm not that picky though either.
Just try putting on some toast.
Just pour this buttery oil on my toast. That sounds so terrible.
Can you put it in the fridge and let it solidify a little bit?
I could try it. I'm kind of tempted now that you've suggested it. Oh man. Anyways,
fry up an egg in that. See what it's.
Yeah, I could just use it in the pan just to grease up pans from now on. Except that it's oil, so depending, it might just start smoking. We don't need that. Do you got any other Star Wars news, or is that the Star Wars news of the day?
Well, my next little bit, big fan of Star Wars over here, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
Not really news, more of a rumor. There's been a lot of hot rumors floating around recently. Everything from there's the rumor that started last week or the week before that Kathleen Kennedy might be being pushed out or forced out of Lucasfilm, or at the very least not having her contract renewed next year.
Interesting.
Some of the more wild rumors are that there are actors inside of Lucasfilm. Well, not like acting actors, but people behaving, people doing things behind the scenes that they might be trying to find a way to make the sequel trilogy, remove it from the canon, and basically do it over again, which is pretty wild. And
that is pretty wild.
The most recent rumor that I just found is that Disney allegedly has shut down a Star Wars movie that was supposedly going to involve Brie Larson, Rian Johnson, and potentially Taika Waititi.
Yeah. That's actually really disappointing because Taika Waititi has not made a bad film that I've seen. I've seen almost all of his movies. None of them are bad.
Yeah.
He's a great storyteller. He's really good with dialogue. He's really in touch with his characters. So that's really disappointing.
Well, before The Last Jedi came out, Rian Johnson has done a lot of terrific movies too. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming when he failed to deliver on that. But
yeah.
Apparently it was going to be a Knights of the Old Republic movie. But again, this is a rumor. No hard news here.
Yeah.
This comes from a YouTube channel that I follow that has insider contacts. Okay.
So when you guys are sharing this rumor with your friends, make sure you tell them that the Movie Jungle said that it's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a hard fact news item that there's a faction within Lucasfilm that's trying to create films that will just scoot the prequel or the sequel trilogy out of canon.
Yeah, as much as
I don't want to. I was just gonna say I don't want to spoil Rebels for people, but there is a time travel moment at some point in the animated series, and if they want to bring that back, I guess they could try to right the ship that way. But God, I'm blaming Zack Snyder. The Snyder Cut has just opened up this. This is like
as much as I genuinely dislike the sequel trilogy, it's bad storytelling and it's not about anything. I think being so heavy-handed as to just pretend like it didn't happen,
was bold.
Yeah, would
even if it's great, it's still very awkward. Like I would rather them just be like, okay, if you guys are so confident that you can make really good Star Wars movies, just do it. Yeah. And either put it way before or way after or on the other side of the galaxy. Like not everything has to, like, this is how the Skywalker saga has, like, we had 3 great movies and then we had 3 great movies and 3 pretty weird ones. And now we've got 3 great movies and 6 pretty weird ones. And it's the Skywalker saga. Like, it hasn't been an untarnished story since the prequels came out. So I think it's best to just move on, create new cool Star Wars, give us new cool characters, and just do it that way. Because at the end of the day, if we keep adding to it and changing and adding more prequels and more sequels, then it's just going to keep getting attention, as opposed to other stories over time. We can just kind of watch the parts that we want of this.
Yeah.
So, Stella feels strongly about it. She's fired up about it.
Yeah, the dog has a strong opinion. Yeah, I agree. I very underwhelmed with how the Star Wars saga, or with how the Skywalker saga ended, but there's other stories to tell. It's a pretty cool universe.
Super cool,
as long as you make good movies, it's not going to feel like it's getting diluted. But if they keep making bad
movies,
it's going to
It's kind of like... It's like you're onto something there. Like, just make good movies is what you're saying.
Yeah,
like for all,
which is why I'm fine with them getting Rian Johnson as far away from the series as possible, because he clearly either doesn't care about it or doesn't choose to care about it.
Yeah.
So I'm totally fine with just
or just doesn't maybe just doesn't get it. Yeah.
He's made good movies though. I really like Knives Out.
Knives Out was incredible.
For what it's worth. I was ready to hate that movie, and then I watched it. I was like, this is pretty fun.
Oh, that's funny. It looked really great from the start to me, and it looked like more his bag than Star Wars. I think it was just a bad marriage. But anyways, that's our Star Wars news / cold hard facts for the week. So make sure you tell people that the guys over at Movie Jungle said for sure that it's happening. And hopefully you...
That's got the Movie Jungle stamp of approval. I mean, that's got a lot of weight to it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very heavy stamp. It's hard to lift. So, moving on to a couple other news items. This one is kind of a quick one. This is a little old of a news story, but I forgot to mention in an earlier episode. But Seth Rogen's Point Grey Pictures is doing a reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it's going to be entirely CGI. So it's not like a reboot of the live action stuff, but we're doing a CG movie reboot from Nickelodeon and Seth Rogen's Point Grey Pictures.
Pass. Next story.
I love Ninja Turtles so much, but I'm also not that interested in this. Like, it makes me sad because I really do love Ninja Turtles.
It's because of our age, though, right? Like we were younger when the live action ones came out, and I fell in love with sort of the gritty Ninja Turtles. I fell in love with the dirty underground, fast talking, no BS Ninja Turtles, and I want that back. I don't want the animated Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, and that was always truer to the source material anyways, but
the source material
even though nothing has ever been made that's actually true to the source material, that was certainly closer.
I mean, close or not, I thought it was just gritty and realistic, and
it was great. You could
identify with the characters better.
Yeah, we're gonna do Ninja Turtles on the podcast for sure. Let us know. Should it be movie by movie? Just the original 3 live action ones. Should it be movie by movie or do them all in one go, one episode?
I think we should do movie by movie, but if the listeners have an opinion, they can let us know.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that. Do you want individual Turtles movies? And then once we get through the first 3 original live action ones, if you really want, we can do the Michael Bay ones, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because I don't know if Mike's dying to watch those again. Have you seen the Michael Bay ones or no?
No.
Oh, okay. He gets a couple things really right.
I don't think I've seen
a lot of it's really wrong.
I don't think I've seen a Michael Bay movie since like Transformers 2.
Yeah, he got the attitudes of the Turtles right, which is an important piece. But anyways, it's definitely a Michael Bay movie. Both of them are.
How many trucks explode in it?
Just off the top of my head, 80. I have no idea. I would be curious to know how close I am on that.
There's got to be a list somewhere of like semis exploded per Michael Bay movie. I feel like that's a unit of measurement.
There has to be. If you guys are aware of this, please reach out and share this with us. So maybe someday we'll just do a Michael Bay episode. That'd be kind of fun.
Like, how many Michael Bays is this movie? Well, how many trucks exploded per minute?
Yeah. The Michael Bay rate.
This movie is exactly 3.6 Michael Bays.
Yeah.
That's how you know how extreme and bombastic it is.
Yeah. So I think this one will probably be pretty good because the team behind it is pretty good. They're pretty funny. Except Rogen. I think he tends to get it in general. But it's a CGI version of Ninja Turtles. It just doesn't get me as excited as live action stuff does for Ninja Turtles. And
yeah.
We'll see. It might be really good. I never saw the first CGI one. I own it, and I haven't watched it. I mentioned it on the very first episode of Movie Jungle.
Yeah. And I think maybe this is like an age thing, having us growing up with a lot more live action movies. And, I mean, we were almost teenagers when CGI films started being the norm. But,
yeah.
I'll get into this when we get into Demolition Man more. But I definitely still have a soft spot for, like, practical effects.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm with you. Even, honestly, sometimes I'll take a practical effect that I can see the flaw in over a really good CGI effect.
100%.
But anyways, so that's it for Ninja Turtles for today. But let us know if you guys want one Ninja Turtles episode with the 3 original, or if you want us to split those up, because we're definitely down to watch those again. Anyways, moving on to the next topic. I have 2 more news stories for us. This one will probably be on the quick side. It's the Marvel slate. Has been some of the things we thought have been confirmed, and just like some minor updates and guesses and dates and stuff. So I'm just going to move through it kind of quick. Black Widow is, as we know, coming out November 6th this year. That'll for sure.
That's an origin story, right?
Yeah. There's been, and I guess if you want, you can cover your ears for this part. It's like a minor spoiler, but it's public knowledge, and I think it's even in the newest trailer, maybe. But I think they're kind of doing a handing of the baton sort of thing to a different Black Widow in this one. So, which I think is really cool, because the character of Black Widow has multiple identities in the comics, and she's a very cool part of the team. And I think for a lot of little girls out there, cool to keep her in the front and center. So anyways, that comes out in November. The Eternals is February 2021. May 2021, we get Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Very excited for both of those films, especially Shang-Chi. Untitled Spider-Man sequel, November 2021. Thor Love and Thunder, February 2022. Very excited for that, just because it's Taika Waititi again. This is really interesting. Sam Raimi is directing the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness film, which is slated for March 25th, 2022. It's going to be more of like a horror Doctor Strange vibe, which I think has a potential to be great.
Yeah. I'm all in on that.
Yeah, for sure. And then Black Panther 2 is looking at May 6th, 2022. Captain Marvel 2.
Galaxy on there.
Oh, we're almost there.
Okay.
2022, July 8th is Captain Marvel 2. Pretty excited for that. I think that the first movie was, things about it were really vanilla, but then there were other things about it that were just phenomenal. And her performance and her attitude as Captain Marvel, I thought was really, really good. But there was just kind of like the story at times wasn't like
the whole
wildly...
movie seemed really rushed. Like they really wanted to get her in there before Endgame.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of felt as rushed as her character's introduction.
Yeah, it did have that. It did have that. What was done well, but it did have a rushed vibe to it for sure.
I think maybe her character would have been. I mean, I was happy that her character in Endgame wasn't like what's the phrase the
McMuffin.
Yeah, no, not the McMuffin. No, the was it the Deus Ex Machina where she just like comes out of nowhere unexplained and just saves the world. Okay. I was glad that they didn't write her like that in Endgame, but I think that
she helped out in a non-OP manner.
Yeah, but her character wasn't necessary, and I think that maybe I don't know if maybe her movie would have been better if they weren't trying to get her in there under the gun in terms of scheduling.
Yeah, it might have been, but I don't know. It was pretty good. Anyways, so that's July 8th, 2022. That's where the dates end as far as knowing which movie goes to what date. But that leaves Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Blade without an official announced release date. But there's dates. Yeah, so there's dates that are like October 7th, 2022, February 17th, 2023. Does anyone care? Is anyone going to remember? This is years away. But October, February, May 2023, July 2023, November 2023. So 2023, we have 4 Marvel movies coming out. In 2022, looks like was it also 4? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Marvel's about to slap back again. Like, we think that we're on some sort of Marvel hiatus. Well, I guess we are. But, I mean, things are going to heat back up big time.
I'm curious to see if they recapture the flame. Because, I mean, if they...
Me too. I mean, Kevin Feige's still running the ship, so I have faith. But I think it'll be a mix of great movies and good movies, which is what it's been so far.
Yeah, but I mean, the great thing about like this, the first 10 years, who knows how many decades this saga will last? Hopefully a while, because I mean, the Marvel movies they're not high art films, but they're fun, they're entertaining, they make sense, they're well written, and they're well executed. It's going to be interesting to see if they can do that with like almost a changing of the guard. Like Iron Man's done, we have a new Captain America. You know, who's going to be the next big bad of the next 10 years?
Yeah. I can't wait to find out. I don't think we'll learn much about the future in the Black Widow movie. It'd be cool if we did, but I'm not expecting to. I think the Eternals will kind of be the first step towards being able to guess at what that future looks like as far as the next big bad and the next, large strokes in storytelling that they take.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Anywhooty.
Yeah.
There's a whole conversation there, but we can move on.
Yeah, Marvel's we're going to need to bring that up pretty often because there's going to be more news all the time. So more on that later. Anyways, and the last bit of news is something that I am in no way excited about, but I think I'm probably in the minority on this. It's that the Batman movie that's coming out that director Matt Reeves is making.
With Robert Pattinson?
Right. So Matt Reeves is creating a spin-off series from this movie to be aired on HBO Max based on the Gotham Police Department. So really interesting that the director of the film is creating the original spin-off series from his own film. So, I mean, as far as continuity and like getting the feel right and everything, like that should be a home run. But do you care about a Gotham Police Department show, or is it the same as everything? If it's good, yes. If it's bad, no.
Yeah, I think definitely the second one.
Yeah.
If it's good, it'll be good, and if it's not, it won't be. I mean, Batman has, I think, always been the strongest DC character, just because the world that he lives in is the most interesting.
It is very interesting.
He's probably got one of the best bad guy rogues galleries of any superhero, and those people live in Gotham. Those bad guys are in Gotham, and it could be interesting to see. I mean, is it going to be like a police procedural? Is it going to be like Law and Order Gotham, or is it
See, that's what I'm wondering too, and I'm also wondering, like, obviously having not seen this film, we can't guess too much as to what the show is going to feel like. But if it's a show about them dealing with like these legit members of the Rogues Gallery that he has, and like if they're arresting King Shark in an episode in season 2, or like dealing with the Joker occasionally, or like Harley Quinn, or maybe Margot. I don't know how this movie is going to tie into what exists already, if at all. But if they share the big names, then I think it could be really interesting, and I could be really into it. It could, if it's like them kind of doing their best to keep up and help Batman, essentially, and like
it's got to be its own thing.
Yeah, but you have to have a bunch of these like big names in all their glory, especially on HBO. Because we already got Gotham on Fox, and they danced around characters, and like they're like, oh yeah, but it's the very early version. It's them as a 20-year-old. Like nobody cares. Like so, and I heard that. I'm not saying that show's bad. A lot of people really like it, but I'm just saying, like, for HBO, they better take some big swings at some big names, and not make it like overly gritty and realistic when secretly they just want to save money on their budget just so they can do less CGI and stuff and less special effects. But I don't know. I'm afraid of like another, like The Watchmen based in Gotham, like the new Watchmen series.
I haven't seen it.
Apparently it's great, but It's not my bag. Like, I like my comic books to have at least enough camp to justify what's happening. Like,
well, look at
I think that the Christian Bale's Batman in the third movie, I think the third movie lost track of what they were doing as far as the level of campiness goes, because you still have a grown man running around in a bat costume. So,
but he takes himself 100% seriously, though. I mean,
right, but it's a grown man in a bat costume, and he has technology that's like beyond what we can do. Like his tech and his bat costume add a level of campiness that was not matched by Bane on any level. And so that disappointed me a little bit, but yeah, we can do a Batman episode too and get more into it. But it could be great though. I mean, if they have really cool characters,
they're really selling the idea though. They're going all out that the movie's going to be even good and people will want to watch this show.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
that's
with
a big
DC's run of cinematic failures, I can't tell you I'm super stoked about it, and I'm not the biggest Robert Pattinson fan. I mean, I think he peaked at Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
But I mean,
to be fair,
DC hasn't made a good Batman movie. Even
I haven't
really
seen.
a good movie at all since the Christopher Nolan trilogy.
Yeah,
I think that DC.
I think Wonder Woman's a good movie. Like, definitely, it has a boring boss fight, but otherwise, it's a good movie. It's maybe not great to everybody, but it's a good movie.
Here's my soundbite opinion on DC movies, including Wonder Woman.
Okay, soundbite opinions are the best.
I think that DC had an opportunity to be the yin to Marvel's yang. Marvel was the over-the-top, campy, superhero movies that were just outlandish and fantastic. And a lot of DC's characters tend to be more grounded, and so they had an opportunity to continue making movies with a similar style to Christopher Nolan's. A little bit grittier, a little bit more realistic, a little bit more grounded. Instead, they basically tried to rip off Marvel movies and did it very, very poorly. And where Marvel movies, you'd have multiple overlapping trilogies, and then you'd have the occasional Avengers movie where the whole gang would get together and you'd get these really big emotional payoffs from seeing these big arcs come to conclusion or continue. And DC didn't do that. They sucked at doing that. And so you'd get the Justice Leagues where they try to get you that big emotional payoff right away, and it just never seems earned, and it never lands.
But
you
mean
you have Wonder Woman.
Justice League wasn't a great emotional payoff for you, Mike?
No, it's a nothing burger.
A nothing burger.
I think the reason Wonder Woman does so well is because they actually do a really good job of ripping off Marvel's formula. They finally nailed it. It's basically Marvel Wonder Woman.
I don't know what that means. I think that Marvel, a lot of what's good about what they do is they base things off the comics that they're about, and they stick to it enough and are smart about what they change. And so if that counts as a formula or an invention or a way to make a movie, then I guess. But I think that Wonder Woman I think it worked because they cast someone in the role that is an interesting, good actress. I think that they built the world, which we'll get into world building a little bit later too. But I think the world building in it was great, and the cast was great, and it's that simple. Yeah,
the writing was good. But I do think that DC had an opportunity to make a different type of Star Wars.
They should have just made a Star Wars.
They should have just made DC Star Wars. No, I do genuinely believe that they had an opportunity to make a different type of superhero franchise.
I agree.
That could have been different instead of just making Marvel movies with different characters.
I think when you say yin to the yang, I agree a little bit, but if Marvel's yang, my yin's a little different because your yin is dark and gritty.
I don't mean dark and gritty. I just mean more grounded, a little bit more realistic. Not everybody's trying to save the world in every movie.
Which does fit a lot of their characters very well. But what I was going to say is maybe you don't even have to tie it all together, and you can have all these like awesome one-off movies and like just let them live in their own worlds and let them play by their own rules and not feel pressure to build a giant universe like what Marvel did.
Yeah, and there's so many
because
Marvel
like
clones out there, like Marvel Universe clones. DC did it. Universal tried to do it.
Yeah. Like Wonder Woman does very, very little to tie itself into the greater universe. And part of that's the time period that it takes place in. Like there's a Wayne Enterprises moving truck or something, but other than that, is not a lot.
Yeah.
But the other movie that I really like Wonder Woman. The other movie I like maybe even more than Wonder Woman from them is Birds of Prey. And it's just its own wacky, like it feels like what a Harley movie should feel like. It like the vibe fits that character. It's well written. It's interesting. It's different. It was not like a lame, predictable, boring ride. Like,
yeah,
I thought it was really good. Now, if you don't like her portrayal of Harley Quinn, then you're gonna hate it because it's very Harley Quinn. Like it's almost over the top. How like all the little jokes and animations and things, but I think it fit perfectly. But
yeah.
Anyways, more conversations for the future. I'm sure we'll never stop talking about Star Wars and Marvel and DC. Sure hope not.
You definitely tell what's on my mind as with the Star Wars Freudian slip there. I've been watching lots of Star Wars recently.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Anyways, let's move on to the topic of the day, which is a movie that has no reboots, a movie that has no sequels or prequels, a movie that has no problems. It's a perfect movie. I'm just kidding. No movie's perfect.
It is a great movie. Man, I can't tell you. I love this movie growing up.
It's such a good movie. So Demolition Man, we just both watched it recently, and we thought we would talk about that today because it's fun to talk about good stuff that people may have not seen in a while. But
I don't think I've seen this since, I don't know, it's probably been close to 10 years since the last time I saw this movie.
Wow. Yeah, that is a long time.
I don't want to say I had forgotten about it. It has just been a really long time.
For sure, yeah. There's a handful of movies like this that fit into this box for me, like this, Total Recall, to a small degree Fifth Element, but just like great 90s sci-fi movies, sci-fi action movies that I absolutely love that I have to rewatch at least every 18 months. Like I go back to these like movies like this and this one like often enough that it stays fresh and I just love it.
It's the like the 80s to 90s action flicks, they all had a very similar look and they're fantastic. I mean, the Schwarzenegger movies, the Sylvester Stallone movies, the Van Damme movies. We need to do some Van Damme movies here too.
By the way, Van Damme is about the only other action star that didn't get name dropped in this movie, because they talk about Schwarzenegger in this movie, and they talk about Jackie Chan in this movie. Wesley Snipes is in the movie, so they didn't do that. But like they just missed on what, Van Damme and Bruce Willis, like.
It's funny too because Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger had a kind of a friendly action movie rivalry in the 80s and 90s.
Well, apparently that's the only reason that what's that like super campy weird comedy that Stallone did back in the day where he like cross-dressed in it maybe.
Oh, what is Stop or
My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah.
So So that movie,
what a name.
Legend has it that the only reason he did that is because Arnold Schwarzenegger tricked him into it. He pretended to be super interested in that role, and he had his agent make everyone think that he was really into it. And then apparently Stallone, just out of ego, was like, "I'll take it." So if that's true, it's hilarious.
So cool. I hope that's true. That's my headcanon. Nobody can convince me otherwise. That's the best story.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, yeah, so this movie is incredible. I'm going to read, just for fun, we'll see. I'm going to read the plot real quick off of IMDb. Let's see how they did. Just really like short paragraph. A police officer is brought out of suspended animation in prison to pursue an old ultra-violent nemesis who is loose in a non-violent future society. It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of makes it sound a little bit like they could both be like 75-year-old men or whatever, but we'll let it slide. So there's a couple things I want to touch on. Maybe if you guys enjoy this, we'll make it a thing, but I think it might be kind of fun. For every movie from now on, I want to look at the parents' guide. And I want to see how we think they did on why this movie's R-rated. For sex and nudity, it said mild. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, we only see... There's one pair of boobies.
Right, there's quick boob. Well, there's like there's one frame of boobs in their weird sex scene, I think.
No, I don't think there was any... I don't think there's anything in there. There was the quick boob in when
the girl dials the wrong room.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it, and then just like some sly butt.
Yeah, we do get some sly butt.
Yeah, some sly butt.
Some sweet sly butt.
So,
dude, his fitness was dialed in on this movie. I'm gonna tell you that though.
His fitness?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Is this peak Stallone as far as just his physical appearance? Like,
no,
or one of the Rambos probably for that.
Nope. Rambo 3 is peak Stallone.
Yeah. Peak or most jacked, or is it the same thing? I think if you're an action star,
peak.
It's the same thing.
That's peak Stallone. Stallone is an outspoken advocate for performance enhancing substances, and so I think that was. He was
on
peak,
display.
Man.
Yeah. Okay, next category. They serve violence and gore. They give it moderate. I disagree. Because moderate is more than mild, and I would say mild for violence and gore.
You give it mild, so you'd say that it's less than as advertised.
I think they're saying it's moderate violence and gore.
There's a decent bit of violence.
I mean, to me, shooting a window is not violence. And there's a lot of shooting windows. Can we talk about how no one can hit their target with a gun in this movie ever?
That's the genre. I mean, Rambo would have died pretty early on in his career if bad guys could actually shoot.
Yeah.
Same with Luke Skywalker.
Just in general, if bad guys' aim was realistic, these movies would be so boring. So you think moderate's fair though?
Well, okay. Here's a thought question for you.
Yeah.
Maybe this is defined in the rules of this parent's guide. Does inferred violence count as violence? Because at the beginning of the movie, when like 30 people on a bus get killed off screen, that's pretty dark.
No, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Inferred violence doesn't count.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, I'm thinking, like, I don't know how many other, like, their other rating system they have. It says it's either none, mild, moderate, or severe.
None, mild, moderate, or severe. Oh, I see. Okay.
Severe. So it's either a 0, a 1, 2, or 3. I mean, I guess maybe a 2 is fine. It's such a wide range that I guess
it's definitely not gratuitous, and you don't really see any gore. The only gore we see is that like that one dude's eyeball.
Oh, yep.
It's on
the.
But I mean, like that scene where he's holding up the pen to the dude's eye, like that gave me the squeamies.
Yeah.
Give me the squeamers.
All right, so we'll give a moderate on that, I guess.
Yeah, that's a mild moderate. I'm fine with
Okay. So what about profanity? They give it a moderate. Moderate profanity. I almost think severe profanity.
I mean, you're going to have to ask the little ticket givers.
I mean, they're giving a lot of tickets in this movie.
That's
a lot of tickets. Every scene where there's one of those ticket printers in it, it prints a ticket at least twice.
That's probably one of my favorite running gags in a movie. And
easily.
Because even the scenes where you don't see one of those things, and it's like several rooms away, you can still hear it very faintly, and it's like
they do a really
fantastic.
good job.
It's so
they do a really good job of not forgetting that they started that gag. Like
Definitely.
It's throughout the whole thing, like
so
super
consistent.
solid.
I fucking love it. I absolutely love it.
All right, so Are we agreeing with moderate on profanity, or should it be severe profanity?
I'm fine with moderate, just because a lot of the curse words in this universe are like crap and butt.
That's true. That's true.
Like, it would be severe profanity if we were judging it within the world that exists in, but in our world, as the viewers, it's definitely not severe. I don't even think it's moderate. It's probably mild.
That you could be right about that. Alcohol, drug, smoking, it says mild. That's probably true. There's like no drug use in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's probably even less than mild.
Yeah, well, it's not none. There is some. So
is there?
Yeah, they smoke. He flicks a cigarette at his feet in the beginning of the movie.
Okay, so
that's enough. That's enough to not. That's enough to not be none.
I guess
exactly. So I think mild.
In 1993, that's none. No.
That's true. That doesn't count. And then the last category is frightening or intense scenes. They give it a mild. I'm fine with that. I don't think anything was like frightening or intense. I mean, the beginning a little bit maybe, and then
I'm trying to imagine this through the eyes of like 2020 movies versus like 1993 movies. In 1993 movies, definitely mild. In 2020 movies, I think it'd be moderate.
You can be moderate for frightening or intense scenes.
If it came out,
the only scenes I can think that would fit the bill there would be for intense, maybe nothing's frightening, I don't think, but for intense, maybe when Phoenix breaks out for the first time and kills those 3 guys and like takes the eyeball out with the fountain pen.
Yeah, I was thinking of the eyeball. I was also thinking the opening scene with all the explosions is pretty run of the mill action film. But then it gets pretty heavy for a moment there when you learn, or at least you're led to believe in that scene, that John Spartan killed 30 people off screen while blowing up the building. Like, that's kind of intense.
Can we talk about... So that first scene, I love so much how smart Simon Phoenix is. I'm going to put this out there. I'm the biggest good guy fan of all time. Like, Mike knows this. Like, I don't own a single Darth Vader anything, and I love Star Wars. Like, if it's a bad guy, I'm usually out. There are exceptions. This is an exception. Simon Phoenix is awesome. I love Simon Phoenix.
Yeah.
And one of the things he does in the beginning of the movie that gets me on board with Simon Phoenix is it's so smart, because he's being arrested, and then he tells this story to everyone around him in the spur of the moment. In the moment, he's like, I told you that there were hostages in the building. Like, he lies about that he told him that hostages. He's like, he didn't even care. And then that's what his officer or the chief or whatever thought was going on. He thought that all he cared about was killing Simon Phoenix, and he was doing his job wrong, and he was not worrying about collateral damage. And Simon played on that, and just one little lie kind of cemented his fate.
Yeah.
I thought that was really smart.
I 100% agree with you. I think Wesley Snipes steals this movie.
For sure.
It's
so good.
10 times over gives the best performance.
I love Simon Phoenix.
And it's a great bad guy named Simon Phoenix, and
it's such a good bad guy name.
His flippant attitude towards like the future cops is great.
It's so good. It's gonna be our future someday. Someone's gonna come along, like, once we defund the police and violence chills out. It's gonna be like there's that quote where the guy in the police station, I don't know if it was Rob Schneider or not, I think it might have been, where he's like, we're police officers. We're not trained to handle we're not trained to handle this kind of violence.
That is Rob Schneider. That's so good.
It's so funny. But no, anyways, so as far as those ratings, I guess they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about world building in this movie, and then we'll just kind of get into whatever's off the top of our head and little themes and stuff that you may have noticed. But world building wise, they hit it out of the park. Like, it was so consistent. It was visually and technologically, given that it was probably filmed in 1991. The movie came out in 93. And I just think it was great. Like, I think that it's not too futuristic to believe that technology could exist in 50 years. Just from a technology standpoint, like a society standpoint, that's pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I think
wildly, impossible. But
I do love the world building in terms of like where they landed, like what exists for the meat of the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think they put a realistic amount of years between the opening scene and where the movie takes place. Like,
see, I think they did.
That's like 30 years or 40 years. Less than 40.
Yeah.
It's like, what was it? 32 years, 36 years. You're expecting.
And maybe it is not quite enough.
But. I don't want to be too nitpicky or too realistic, but this world that they exist in 2032, is that what it is?
Something like that.
This world that they exist in is not America, because
well, that's a question I have for you. Is it just this
people
city?
Have like chips. People have like chips where they're tracked. That's all kinds of constitutional violations. They have no freedom.
Technology-wise, it's normal.
There's no freedom of speech. They clearly don't live in what we imagine to be America. I feel like they should have done like a 200-year time jump, or like 100-year time jump, and because over the course of
they could have made it a little longer,
36 years or whatever, they go from this hyper-violent Los Angeles to this utopia, and you come across, there's clearly people alive in this 2032 utopia that were definitely alive in the 90s, but nobody seems to like act like they remember how things used to work or the journey it took to get there. So like the people that are alive in 2032,
that's a good point. I agree with that. Like the lack of knowledge from just 30 years ago or 40 years ago, like that's a bit much for people to be completely blown away and like confused by his actions or words or stuff like that. I agree with that for sure. Technology wise, I think it's an okay time jump because their technology's not that crazy. They have iPads on stuff. Like all future technology in this time in movie making was just a screen on something that's like
That doesn't normally have a screen.
Right, that's like incomprehensibly bulky. And so like what we have now is well better than what they're dealing with, and it's supposed to look super futuristic, but they really missed out on slim bezels when they in all the future filmmaking back in the day. But so like it's the car is like can drive itself. We literally have that. Yeah. I mean, our steering wheels don't shrink for no reason when it goes into self-driving mode, but the coolest thing about the car to me is the crash foam.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't suffocate you, I guess, that's incredible. Because if you could fill a car instantly with foam that doesn't let you move, like that would be probably fantastic, I guess.
Probably pretty effective.
I guess if you're going fast enough though, then like your brain would just hit inside your own skull. It can't help you there. But anyways, so like that was really cool. So I think the technology, it was an okay jump, but I think that no matter what someone says, you're not going to change society that drastically and completely in 3 decades.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that for sure.
It's not a big thing, but
no,
if you're paying attention just a little bit, you can kind of catch. Like take the police commissioner or the sheriff or the chief or whatever, captain.
Yeah, Harry Potter.
That guy is.
He had round glasses. That's why I said that.
That guy is clearly old enough to understand how things worked in the 90s.
Yeah.
Very like he was probably in his 20s in the 90s, by
for sure
looking at him.
If not his 30s.
So he is definitely very familiar with how police worked.
Yeah, how the world
years
was.
Prior. How is he so confused with?
Yeah, the only one that seems to get it is that I wish I knew the guy's name, but the black guy, the older guy, he's in a handful of things, and I love that actor. He's got the best
the guy
voice.
That's John Spartan's friend.
Yeah, so that guy got it. That used to be a rookie or whatever.
Yeah,
and like. Also, does that add up? If he was a rookie, I mean, I guess he could have been a rookie when he was 40, but if he was like a normal rookie cop age of 20-something, he's looking a little
worse
rough for someone that's 59 now.
Yeah,
but
I feel like they could have just made the time jump 100 years, and it would have made more sense why everybody was super confused.
Yep,
all the time.
I agree.
Like, I
think that would have served them well for sure, and done nothing to make it any worse.
Yeah, Simon Phoenix is so violent that people around him are confused by his violence, and so like they're like his scene in the history of the Museum of Violence or whatever it was. He's clearly displaying outright violent actions against other patrons, and people are kind of looking at him like, "What is this guy doing? That's weird." Why would you behave that way?
It's like he's wearing a strange T-shirt. Like, no, he just killed that guy. He threw him through a window. What?
It's so weird.
All of your instincts are gone? You guys don't want to all tackle him or all run away very quickly? Yeah. Those are kind of your only 2 options.
But that's really my only nitpick with the world building, because other than that, it's great.
In general,
though. The whole
it really is.
The callback to like the Schwarzenegger library is like, oh yeah, he was president. And he's like, oh yeah, the passing of the 61st Amendment allowed a foreigner to become president. Like, well, how many amendments do we have right now? Like 30 something, maybe. You tell me 30 something more amendments got passed in the last 30 years?
Dude, they got productive. It sounds like.
I guess so. Or like Taco Bell won the franchise wars.
That was funny. Now all restaurants are Taco Bell.
Can we talk about for a second how? That's probably the least realistic thing about this entire movie. There's no way Taco Bell is winning a franchise war against all the other franchises.
Against every restaurant in the world?
Yeah.
Well, okay, here, let me ask you that real quick. Is this just a glimpse at San Angeles? Or like are there parts of the rest of the world where it does look like what we think the world should look like 30 years after the opening scene? Or like, are they living in this little utopia, or is it this is how the world is?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be great
they
if
don't.
they were like
They don't touch on that at all.
not at all. It'd be great if there was at least like one or two lines to inform us on how the rest of the world is, or at least just like a different part of the West Coast. Like, what does Seattle look like?
Right.
Is Seattle like a hellscape?
Exactly. Like, is it? Yeah, it would be nice to know anything about anywhere else on the planet during this time period. But your Taco Bell point is a strong one. I think that McDonald's is coming out on top just from sheer force of will and dollars behind them, probably in that scenario. I don't know who else would put. I mean, unless you had enough people that just didn't like it because it wasn't as healthy or something. But that clearly wasn't a factor if Taco Bell won.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Taco Bell does have a lot of allies, though. I mean, there's a lot of Taco Bell Pizza Huts out there.
That's true. That's true. They have the backing of the Pizza Huts that are attached to them.
They do have strong allies.
I wonder.
In this war.
Do you want to move? I want a movie about the franchise wars. I want a HBO TV series just about the franchise wars, and then we can learn if those Pizza Hut fought to win the franchise wars, and then all of the Pizza Hut / Taco Bells, it was like a little civil war in one building. Or if they teamed up to win the franchise wars and Pizza Hut just like gave up their naming rights or whatever.
Yeah, I just want to understand what a franchise war is.
For sure. What does that even mean? It's a great point. Yeah, I love that bit of world building. It's super silly and super fun and fits the movie really well.
And just like
apparently
every restaurant is Taco Bell. I'd like to dive into that more. I feel like there was a missed opportunity for some fun comedy where when Spartan is in the car with Sandra Bullock's character, and she says every restaurant's Taco Bell, and so he could say like, well,
they say Taco Bell.
Taco Bell, but you
have to say.
I feel like there's a missed opportunity at comedy there where he could say like, well, what if I want pizza? Taco Bell. What if I want spaghetti? Taco Bell.
Yeah.
What if I want Greek food? Taco Bell.
Actually, it would be everything you named is illegal because salt is illegal.
Because salt is illegal. Right? Can we touch on, maybe this is too political, can we touch on how, like, this society is, like, the...
completely horrible?
Yeah. But it's
like literally evil.
The peak of PC culture, if PC culture was...
It's a dictatorship.
Was like legislated.
Yeah, it's communism, dude. It's just like completely everything bad is illegal. It's horrible. There's communism propaganda world. There's no and free choice. We are rooting for the oppressors during the whole movie.
Yeah. There's no free choice. There's no free speech.
Actually, not the whole movie. In the end, they even things out a little bit when the underground people come out and help them, and hopefully they work things out. I would love a paragraph about like, or maybe even like a cheesy freeze frame on all these different characters of what happened in their future. I love when movies do that. When they end and like it stops on a picture of Mike, and it's like Mike went on to open up a food truck in downtown Seattle and died in a kitchen fire. Like, or whatever it is. Like,
died tragically in a flaming hot oil accident. And
the blaze smelled. Yeah, the blaze smelled glorious. But that, like, I would have loved to know, like, did they resolve things with the ground people? Because, like, those mole people? Because if they did and they actually ended up somewhere in the middle, which I think we're meant to assume that happened, then in the end, I don't feel bad for rooting for Sandra Bullock and co. But if they're like, just go get back in your hole, then we're just rooting for the Nazis the whole time, and we were secretly watching this, like, horrible propaganda movie. But... yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, we're thinking about it more than it was ever meant to be thought about, but
it's not.
I think it is an interesting point of view.
It's fair to judge a movie by the rules and the setting that it creates.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
I think there's a lot of cool things about this movie. I like the whole like Taco Bell franchise wars, the three seashells, the whole like the cops have become so passive and neutered that they have to rely on Siri to tell them what to do.
Except it's the size of a Pit Boy. Yeah. It's like enormous, like chrome box. Like
there's so many of these cool little bits.
In a firm tone,
really...
instruct the perp to get on the ground with his hand behind his back. It's like he's like, he did not comply. What do I do?
He
and then the box is like, yeah, he replied with a snide remark. Do it again in an even more aggressive tone. It's so funny.
There's so many of these cool little bits that like create this world for you. But there's not really a whole lot of resolution. I would have liked to see the resolution with the mole people, with the underground people, with Dennis Leary and co.
The resolution is that John Spartan inadvertently started a pandemic by kissing Sandra Bullock for the first time in 30 years or whatever.
Right. She's got no immunity to his 1990s VD.
No, his 90s concoction is not something that she'll be able to handle, but who knows? There are rumors of a sequel to this movie, by the way. I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's a sequel. It might be a reboot, but the guys over at Movie Retakes did an episode about it. So definitely go over to Movie Retakes and listen to their take on it. But it's just rumors. I don't think there's plot details or.
I believe it though. I mean, in this day and age of it's Hollywood is basically a desert of creativity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, and I maintain that a lot of that's our fault, our own fault, because when original things fail, it scares people away from doing it. But people don't support original like if you didn't go see Jupiter Ascending in theaters, you're part of the problem. Now you may not have seen it because you watched the trailer, and that's fair. But it's like that's kind of my point though, or like. Stuff that's
it's not my fault.
Not
it is not my fault.
Reboot.
I'm going to push back on this pretty hard.
I know that they need to make better original stuff, but
it's not my fault that they cast Magic Mike in the lead. That's not my fault.
He's a good actor. That's not why the movie was bad. The movie was written terribly. The dialogue in that movie was pretty terrible.
So you're saying the movie was bad?
Yeah, it was bad.
But
it was entertaining.
It's other people's fault for not seeing it.
Right. You got to go see bad original movies or they're going to stop making them. That's the rules.
You need to stop going to see bad movies or people will stop making bad movies. Yeah. What?
No, you need to go see bad original movies or they're going to stop making original movies.
Yeah.
If you only hold out for the 1 in 100 good original sci-fi action movie, then we're just going to get sequels and reboots.
You do have a point there. But it did look interesting. I do remember it.
Yeah.
I haven't been a fan of the Wachowskis since V for Vendetta. But I do like them because they do go big.
They do go big. I'll give them that. And they went real big in Jupiter Ascending. Like,
I didn't realize that I did not realize that Eddie Redmayne was in that movie.
And he was part of the biggest problem of that movie, ironically. His accent in that movie is probably 20% of why it's bad. Minimum 20%. Another solid 20% is Channing Tatum's hair color on his eyebrows and his goatee.
Here it is.
Like, just the makeup department just did not do Channing Tatum any favors.
With how good as an actor as Eddie Redmayne is, it's funny.
Phenomenal actor.
So here in the third paragraph of the wiki article on it,
we're not done with Demolition Man. Just so you guys know.
Yeah,
we'll get back to it. But
little sidebar here.
Yeah.
So in addressing a lot of the massive amount of negative reception, a lot of it was centered on Redmayne's performance.
I think his performance was okay because he was like a really wound up like guy that just snapped, and he did a really good job of conveying that and emoting that. It's just his accent. The voice he used was insane. Like, it was just like, hello, what? This is my planet, and Earth will be mine next.
I mean, that's a good. That's a good voice for a sci-fi bad guy.
Not for one that looks like a 23-year-old. Like, he doesn't even look old. He's not an old guy. Like, he doesn't look old in the movie either. Is crazy, but
he's got a great
I don't know.
name.
There are
Balaam Abrasax. That's a good sci-fi villain name.
It's Abrasax.
I like Abrasax.
Well, you can like that all you want. I'm sure there's people out there that prefer Skywalker. Probably not. Hopefully not. But anyways, so like, yeah, there's rumors. I don't know if there's more than rumors. I haven't dove in, but anyways, if you wanna speculate and listen to awesome speculation from cool people, go to the Movie Retakes podcast and listen to their Demolition Man episode. But yeah, I think we should do a crossover with them. Like, find a movie that they're going to talk about, and then we'll do an episode. We'll pitch our ideas for the next movie or whatever. I think that could be fun. But
okay, just to get back to Jupiter Ascending here real quick, it probably didn't help.
Yeah. Yeah. What else did you find?
Having not seen this movie, it probably didn't help that Eddie Redmayne's character just like wears an open-chested cloak the whole time.
It fits into his part of the world and has no effect on it. I'm telling you, that movie was bad.
You can just see his nipples, his abs, and his belly button.
That's not what he wore. You might have found some fan art. I don't know.
No, this is definitely in the movie. This is like some stock footage.
I don't recall his nipples in any point in the movie, and I would remember Eddie Redmayne's nipples.
This dude's got some great abs in these pictures.
Anyways, that movie, 20% his accent, 20% the character design of Channing Tatum's dude, 10% goes to just the one line where he talks about how he has more in common with a dog than with a human. It's so stupid. And then the other 50%, I guess you can chalk up to it should have been maybe more than one movie. Like, it's a lot for one movie to do it. It feels like a trilogy that has been edited down to one movie, which may have been what happened. But there's some really neat stuff in there, but it's not presented in the best way they could have. But I'm happy that I supported it, and don't know that it made a difference, but I'm trying. Doing
God's work.
Yeah, thanks. So anyways, back to Demolition Man. You noticed something about a tonal shift in the film very early on. How it starts off as a straight up satire of those 90s action films.
It does. It starts off very satirical and like police and like PC culture and like even for its time. And
I do wonder if any of that is your woke brain giving them more credit than they deserve, where some of those like cheesy satirical sounding lines, that was just everyone just thought that was awesome at the time, and we just can't clearly the point remains, and it did start off really satirical on purpose, but I wonder if some of that we think is satire they thought was dope and we just don't get it.
Maybe. I still strongly believe that it started off as a pretty strong satire, but then once you get into the third act, it like after the Taco Bell scene,
yeah,
pretty much, it kind of just turns into a not after the Taco Bell scene, after the cyber sex scene with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
It just kind of turns into an act just a run of the mill standard Stallone action flick.
Right, which is to say a great action movie.
Yeah, there was definitely good action in this movie, but I feel like there's a missed opportunity to really just keep going all in with the satire.
Yeah, I think so too. You can have a big finale and have your final fights and have your big moments and still keep the tone of the movie consistent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree for sure. I think that I don't know what now I'm thinking about what you would do for a sequel. Would you like? One thing that makes me sad is that Simon Phoenix is pretty definitively gone. He kicks his head off of his body and it shatters on the ground. Yeah. After bouncing for some reason. It bounces from a higher height and then off the bounce from a lower height shatters. I don't know what that's all about.
Such a great bad guy, too. I mean, can we for a second here and just have a eulogy for Simon Phoenix? Really just for 90s Wesley Snipes. Cause
I agree. I love Wesley Snipes.
Rewatching this movie reminded me how much I actually loved Wesley Snipes. And, I mean, the guy shot himself in the foot for not paying his taxes for a decade and spent a number of years in jail and ended his career.
It was a weird move. Weird move, Wesley.
But, man, 90s and early 2000s Wesley Snipes. So many good movies.
Yeah. Under Siege 2. I think that was Wesley Snipes in that one. Is that what you were going to talk about?
No, there was...
Was he in that at all? I think that's a Steven Seagal movie, but I don't know if he was Wesley Snipes not in it at all?
I don't know.
I think I'm just wrong.
There's a great movie that came out the year before Demolition Man called Passenger 57 that was really good, where it's him on a plane trying to like foil some terrorists. This was back when like terrorist movies were really popular.
That lasted a while. Let's talk about maybe one of the best Wesley Snipes roles of all time, and that is Willie Mays Hayes in Major League and Major League 2.
No, he was only in Major League. He was only in the first one.
He was only in the first one?
He was only in the first one. Omar Epps was in the second one.
Oh, you're right. Well, the first one, yeah. That was a great role.
I remember that. I had that ready to go. I didn't even need to look that up.
No, you nailed it.
Which Omar Epps killed it too, but Wesley Snipes in the first one was fantastic.
I mean, Omar Epps did a good enough job that I didn't remember it wasn't Wesley Snipes, so I don't know if you can even get higher praise than that. I didn't like... Now that once it's brought up, I'm like, oh, for sure, that's correct. But off the top of my head, I didn't even remember. And then Blade, obviously. He was great as Blade. Apparently, he wasn't horrible to work with, but he was great.
Yeah.
I will say, and also White Man Can't Jump, apparently. I'm so lame. I haven't seen that movie. My brother hates me for not having seen that movie. It's like his favorite movie of all time. I told him that I want to get him on the episode and I'll watch it and we'll talk about it.
There you go.
But anyways, he was in Dolomite Is My Name though, which is what I was going to say. Have you seen that by chance on Netflix? Do you know what it is?
Nope.
It's a Eddie Murphy movie on Netflix and it's incredible. And I know I'm a giant Eddie Murphy fan. But that's not just me thinking that. People think that in the world. It's got really good reception, and it got nominated for some awards. But it's about this guy in like the 70s that wants to just be famous, and he just like refuses to take no for an answer. And he thinks he's the most talented person, and he can make movies and music and do all this stuff. And it's played by Eddie Murphy, and he decides to make a movie regardless of having like a lame budget and no experience. And it's just the story of this guy that never gives up. But he hires Wesley Snipes' character, who plays like a legit actor at the time. And Wesley Snipes' performance in it is so good. It's so funny. It's such a good movie. It's hilarious and well written and wonderful. So if you haven't watched Dolomite Is My Name, do watch it.
Nice.
Also, I want to shout out Sandra Bullock. She was my first Hollywood crush, I think, of ever in my life. And she's just wonderful in this movie. This is my favorite role of hers for sure.
She really went for it. Her quotes, my second favorite running joke of this movie, besides the cursing and what do they call them, the morality violations, is her just constantly getting like 80s and 90s like colloquialisms just barely wrong.
It was so funny, especially when
really
she
licked his ass.
Yeah. Or the one where she was like, we really blew that guy.
Oh,
he goes, away. We blew him away.
No, let's go blow this guy.
Yeah, let's go blow this guy. Yeah, she was. Oh, that is a really good running gag. I love that.
This is a good one.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She really went for it. It was great. There's the.
Oh, you
could take this job and shovel it.
Shovel it, yeah. And he was like, yeah, close enough. That one kind of makes sense, I guess. You know, it was a great moment when they show the flashback of John Spartan, like they're looking at his record, and the guy and the reporter is like, how can you justify destroying a $7 million mini mall to rescue a girl whose ransom was only $25,000? And the little girl goes,
fuck you, lady.
Fuck you, lady. And he goes, good answer. I love that little girl.
Oh,
She's
man.
awesome.
I cracked up. That was great. Yeah, the lady reporter. She's like, hey, fuck you, lady.
I love that so much. Because, like, in movies, too, like, that was a good satirical moment because the kids and the stuff always get ignored in those scenes.
Yeah.
And so, like, just realizing, like, the kid would have heard her. What would the kid have said? It's very funny.
Oh, my gosh. That was so good.
Yeah. He's finally matched his meat.
So dumb.
Oh, yeah. What about the...
It's great. This is what I'm talking about, though. I mean, like, some of that satire was so on point.
It really was. Yeah, it was fantastic. I don't envy him using those tickets that he got for swearing to wipe. That would not have felt good at all because they looked like just shiny paper.
Mm-hmm.
It not only would not have felt good, but would not have been very effective. So he probably didn't.
It looked like receipt paper.
Yeah, he probably didn't smell good for the majority of this film, I imagine. Or maybe he just started showering after every time he took a dump.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else, and then I got distracted by what I just said. Dang it. I don't know. The sex scene was crazy. I think he could have stuck it out a little longer. I think he gave up too quick. Like he gave up and he's like, "What is this? Is stupid." She still wants to do this thing with you. Like you don't know what it is. Just see what it is.
Yeah.
Just go with it and check it out. And he's just like, "No, get away from me. Get out of here." It's like, Jesus, dude.
Dude, what? No.
Or no, she kicks him out actually. But like, still, it's like.
The best part of that whole scene was how after he takes the headset off, he's using these phrases to describe sex, and he says, what does he say? Like the horizontal mamba or
the hunka chunka.
The hunko chunko. What?
Yeah,
nobody says that.
He does say it says something mambo. The dirty mambo.
The dirty mambo, like that's what it was. But the
dirty mambo, the hunka chunka.
The hunka
like, you know.
chunka.
Like, no, she doesn't know. She just said matched his meat like 20 minutes ago. She doesn't know the hunka chunka.
The hunka chunka. What a great name for it. I dare you to use that.
The hunka chunka. You know, what I was going to say, I think earlier is, you brought this up already, but I agree that in general, sci-fi movies, whatever year you want to make it, double it. You want this to be 50 years in the future, make it 100. You want it to be 500 years in the future, make it 1,000. Like, just there's less risk and it's more believable. Like that, there's no reason not to play it safe. Like, yeah.
Not to mention, like, as great as what is Huxley? That's her character's name.
Yeah. Lenina. Yeah.
So Huxley, Lenina Huxley, her character, she is really good at sort of anticipating where John Spartan will struggle with life or activities in 2032. And not to mention she's a big 20th century junkie. But she fails to anticipate his confusion with how future people have sex.
She doesn't explain anything to him. You're right. She just like gives him this crazy headset and expects him to roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really good the whole movie of anticipating his confusion, or at least explaining it.
You know what they gloss? You know what
right
they
away.
gloss over?
And she doesn't do that. She basically sexually assaults him mentally.
She kind of does. She tricks him for sure.
He was not expecting what happened.
Yeah, like he thinks like, okay, I guess this is how they start, and then we do the hunka chunka, like in his own mind that he was probably thinking that. But like,
I want to get a T-shirt that says hunka chunka on it.
no one
really
would be
do.
offended by it because no one would think it means what he thinks it
Like,
means.
it's so good. I
Yeah.
want a T-shirt that says hunka chunka. Brian, do that.
Really funny.
Do that on your stream.
Well, should that be my merch? Or we can do a hunka chunka shirt.
Yeah, make a hunka chunka shirt on your.
Oh,
Twitch stream.
it's the wild mambo. I just remembered. It's not the dirty mambo. The wild mambo.
There you go.
Yeah, the wild mambo. Okay.
I will buy a hunka chunka shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
The hunka chunka. So dumb.
It's such a good soundbite.
I like to imagine that he ad-libbed that and that somebody didn't write that down.
Yeah. Should we, when we get the website going, how about every time anyone clicks a link, Sylvester Stallone goes, hunka chunka? Oh, that would be fun. How about the commercials as music?
Oh, yeah.
That was crazy.
They didn't explain it in the movie, but I can imagine that the reason why all the popular music is just like commercial jingles from the past is that modern music has been outlawed.
Because it's bad. Because there's salt in the studio when they make it.
Because like guitars have been outlawed, and like whammy pedals have been outlawed.
For sure. Whammy pedals. You know what I remembered what I was going to say earlier, and they gloss over this so quickly, but it's a huge deal and changes everything about what John Spartan should think coming out of cryo. He glosses over the fact that he wasn't in cryo mentally. Like, he was awake. He remembered his wife banging on the glass and things like that. Like, what?
Yeah, they do. That kind of
like, could you hear things? Like, could you? What do you mean? You were awake the whole time, or at least for like chunks, like large chunks of time?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good call out too, because in that scene, Lenina Huxley, Sandra Bullock's character, she kind of pauses for a moment and then like doubles down and asks, what's his face? Like, wait, I thought that they were supposed to be unconscious the whole time. Is that not true? And it's sort of a turning point for her character to realize that the status quo is maybe evil.
Yeah.
But they don't. Yeah, you're right. I feel like there could be more there. There could be more substance there.
Yeah, a lot more. He would be completely crazy coming out of cryo after 36 years of... I'll give him a benefit of the doubt that he didn't age, that his body didn't age or whatever, but like his mind was ticking away at certain points, and like, I don't know. I almost think that was
that
like
could have been like an interesting thing.
I almost feel like it was added while they were shooting that scene. They were like, try this, and then they're like, we'll never talk about it again, but let's just see what it sounds like.
Yeah, that could have been an interesting thing to explore.
For sure. For sure. I mean, they end up, they blew up the whole cryo prison, right? Or something, or he just broke it. He just demolished it, like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Phenomenal movie, though. I love all these movies. I'm excited to watch more of these and talk about them with you, because there's so many good ones from this era that we can talk about.
Yeah. Let's not forget Dennis Leary's character, Edgar Friendly.
Yeah, Edgar Friendly was fantastic.
Edgar Friendly is really just Dennis Leary.
Yep.
Because all of
100%.
his lines are basically straight out of Dennis Leary's like old stand-up bits.
He was so good. I loved it. That was actually really funny. Like the stuff that he was saying, where he like thought he was the world's like most badass person and like the most rebellious man alive. And he just he just
wants junk food.
Yeah, he's like saying normal stuff. He's like, if I want to eat pizza and drink a beer, I'll do it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. And it's like, wait, what? That's your rebellion?
I'm the
you
kind
just
of
want to.
Here's a quote. Here's a great quote. I'm the kind of guy like to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecued ribs with a side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to. Okay, pal? I've seen the future. Do you know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing I Am an Oscar Mayer Wiener. Like, that's Dennis Leary. Like,
For sure.
I don't know why they gave this character a name, because that's just Dennis Leary.
It would have been really funny to have Dennis Leary just be in the movie as Dennis Leary too. That like leads this revolution and for some reason didn't age.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that's really good. I do like too how like the Boy Scout cop, he was like that like loves singing all those songs and stuff. First of all, Dennis Leary was describing him to the T. He's like, I've seen the future. It's that guy.
Yeah.
But and then it was crazy how quickly that guy just like assimilated into the rap people. Like they see him and like there's the scene where Phoenix shows up to the underground and then the shoot off begins and then the scene moves to a different location. And it starts with that Boy Scout very bravely and very stupidly approaching Simon Phoenix with his hands out, like being like, no, please don't. Which again, very dumb, but very brave. This guy's killed a bunch of people at this point. Like he's trying to do something. So I thought that bought the character some clout in my eyes. But so we see him do that and he gets thrown or whatever. He gets dealt with very quickly. And we don't see him again until the rat people walk out of the ground and he's in full Mad Max gear like the rest of them. He's like, I'm one of them now.
Yeah.
Like you went from like the ultimate version of this Boy Scout that the world has turned everyone into to immediately like switching.
Yep.
That was pretty funny.
In a recurring theme, or a recurring segment in this podcast that I like to call "Why This Movie Is Better Than the Sequels of Star Wars." That character has a better arc than Rey, just because of that. But no, his scene in the car when he's singing the jingle, he nails that.
Yeah,
he really makes me believe that this character exists and he just loves old commercial jingles. He's like, oh, this is my favorite.
Is that Benjamin Bratt?
Yeah.
Isn't that his name? Yeah, he's great. He's in Miss Congeniality 1 and 2.
Is he?
At least 1. Yeah, I think so. He plays her boss or partner. I don't remember. It's been a while.
I also want to talk about the Simon Phoenix has great costumes throughout this movie.
Phenomenal, yeah.
But he goes from the scene once he leaves the museum, and I think the next time we see him is when he is in what's his face, the politician's office.
Yeah, it is.
And he is all of a sudden wearing a suit of armor that looks like it's made out of like old rubber tires.
Yep, it literally is. Because it's literally made of rubber tires. You can see them.
What?
It's cut up pieces of tires.
I mean, it's a great suit of armor, but where does that come from? What?
He got it from the museum.
There was no Mad Max costumes in that museum, was there? Did I miss that?
I don't know. He went back, though. Yeah, we see him leave without the costume, and then there's a scene off screen. He goes back to the museum and browses his fashion choices. Yeah.
I noticed that.
That is a good point.
I noticed that on this watch, and I was like, where did he get that?
Yeah.
Like, did he make that?
I didn't think about it.
Like, he's got several layers of like rubber tire armor on.
Yeah. Which would be pretty good, pretty effective, honestly.
Man, I love Wesley Snipes in this movie. I say that Wesley Snipes is far and away the reason to watch this movie. Sandra Bullock also kills it. I would honestly say that Sly is like the 4th best actor in this movie. I would say even the police chief crushes his role better than Sly does.
Yeah, his role is a lot less interesting than Sly's character, though. The police chief's extremely just one-dimensional. Not that Sly's character is not.
I did get endless enjoyment of him just like trying to make sense of all this insanity, which again doesn't make sense for this only being like 36 years past the opening of the movie.
Well, maybe during the big one of 2010, he hit his
the
head.
big one. That's another great part of the world building. Like they have these things like the franchise world, the big one.
The big one.
The big one of 2010. Yeah. Your wife died in an earthquake. The earthquake.
So they talk about the big one of 2010, and then after that is when this dude took over and like fixed society or whatever.
Yeah.
There wasn't an earthquake because people were eating salt. Like I don't know. They sort of imply a connection. This is why they do talk about how society like went to crap before then.
You make this movie 100 years in the future. You literally don't change anything else about the movie. You just make it 100 years past where they made it or further.
Yep.
Lenina Huxley could could still be a 20th century history junkie. But it would make sense that so many people don't even understand what violence is.
Well, and the old rookie that Sly Stallone knew personally could just be like his friends. Like he could just be a descendant or something. And be like, hey, I know who you are.
He's kind of a cool character, but he doesn't really like. After that scene, he doesn't play a role in the movie at all.
Not much. He kind of hovers and like helps make decisions a little bit, maybe. But
they could easily make him like a great grandson or something, and
yeah, for sure. That's you wouldn't even.
He could like recognize the last name, or maybe he's the spitting image of his great grandfather or something like that.
Yeah,
you know, and you could literally change nothing else about the movie, and I think it would just. Yeah.
It would have made just a bit more sense. It wouldn't have been really better, but it would have made just a little bit more sense.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. Yeah, which is always good.
Because, like, not to mention, there's a couple in the opening shots when, the opening shots of the future when Lenina Huxley is driving around and she's about to get onto, Santa Monica Boulevard or whatever, and there's, like, no buildings. And this is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know, you tell me in 30 years, what did the big one of 2010 swallow up the entire city and they just rebuilt it? Like where's all the big buildings? Where's everything?
I mean, that kind of fits though. If it was the earthquake, and I feel like a big enough earthquake would literally level every single huge building in a city. Yeah.
Also, a point of curiosity. So we find out that John Spartan's wife dies in the big one of 2010.
Yeah, but we never resolution.
We never find out what happens to his daughter.
Yep, that's very true. We have no idea.
Is she alive? Because
they don't. I mean,
because the police captain sort of cuts everybody off when he is pressing for answers. Right. We're not. And he says, "I didn't you for a family reunion." Like what a dick.
He also, but what he does say is like, at some point he says your family is dead, which implies that she's dead too. But if that's the case, if we're meant to believe that she's dead, and this is him being told she's dead for the first time, they sure glossed over that. But if we're meant to think that he's just referring to his wife being dead, then okay, we still have no idea about the daughter.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe there's your sequel.
Another reason why they should have just made the movie 200 years in the future, and then these questions wouldn't have popped up. Obviously, they're dead.
Now it's 200 years. I think even 75 would have been enough.
Yeah.
Like think about the 40s or whatever. If someone from the 40s woke up today, I would be shocked at everything they said. I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah. Like it'd be hard to have a conversation at certain moments, and they would not understand us often either. Yeah. But so even 75 years would have been minimum. Like I said, though, minimum just double whatever you think it should be.
Yep.
Also, they make you think they confuse you a little bit when they're like, you're sentenced to, what they sentence them to, like 50 or 75 years of cryo sleep.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then they wake them up. Like, or you know what's kind of jarring? I don't know if you found this jarring. So we see a 1996 Los Angeles in the beginning of the movie, which, again, this movie was filmed probably in 1991.
Yeah.
Or 92. It was released in 93. So they weren't jumping in the future very far for that scene. Okay, it's reasonable to think that crime has gotten out of control in a few years. I'll buy that. Sure, I'll buy it. However, is it reasonable to think that in 5 years we can perfectly cryogenically freeze prisoners? Because in the freezing scene, that is in 1996. They show the date on a computer. They're frozen in 1996. And I was waiting to find out what year they were frozen because I thought like, oh, maybe they're in prison for 10 years and then they found out a better way of storing criminals. And then I saw a screen pops up during the process that says the date and the year is 1996. So they predicted in a mere 5 years we would be able to like sophisticatedly do a great job of cryo freezing people.
Yeah, I mean, cryo and hypersleep and stuff like that was kind of a popular part of the sci-fi back then. Yeah. It's pretty definitively impossible to cryo freeze somebody.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I just thought that was like kind of jarring, and I thought that they would have been like, "Oh, the year is 2020, and we have a better way of doing this now. So we're gonna freeze you guys, and then the year is 2050 when we unfreeze you or something."
It was like, what is it? And like in Back to the Future, doesn't that movie take place in like when they go to the future? It's like 2019 or it's
2015. We're five years past it. Yeah.
Where are my hoverboards at, dude?
Yeah, that's where have you been? That's been the headline for the last 5 years. It's like, where's my hoverboard? Yeah, it sucks that the hoverboards that have been made. First of all, the thing that we call a hoverboard is just like a Segway with no handlebars.
Yeah.
So that bothers me a lot. That is not, in no way is that hovering.
Whoever called that
it has wheels.
Marketed that as a hoverboard should be thrown in jail.
I agree. They should be cryogenically frozen. But the
had their head kicked off.
That bothers me a little bit. And then the there you go, have their head kicked off. And then we've got hoverboards that only work on certain like materials or tracks that like are metal like powerful magnets or whatever. And it's like, okay, don't show me this. Don't show me this. Call it right now. What are we getting first? Hoverboard or a lightsaber? So a lightsaber, I'm just going to say I will limit it to something that looks exactly like a lightsaber. It doesn't have to be an actual beam that can do everything a lightsaber can do, but a controlled beam of light that looks exactly like a lightsaber.
That'll never happen.
I don't think either one of them. How do you stop light in midair?
Don't.
Anyways, I think that's a good place to end it.
Wait, what if... Hold on. So what if...
Oh, hold on. Mike's going to invent a lightsaber. Give us a second. Just give it a second.
So you can't...
He's really...
You can't stop light,
guy.
But what if... So when we see Jedi light the lightsaber, it starts the hill and then grows to the top, right? It doesn't automatically just turn on.
Correct.
Right? In full length, we see it sort of like...
Yeah.
And
if you
grows.
Didn't believe Mike if you didn't believe him that he was a Star Wars fan, he just proved it with that knowledge.
So it grows from the hilt to full length. Because it doesn't just like appear. So what if when it's growing, it's actually extending some sort of like reflective arm, right? And so it's like this mirror that's extending. You push the button, and this mirror extends and creates the blade. And as it's extending, the light is shining, and so it's coming up and then bouncing right back. But it's so bright that you can't really see the apparatus,
the little piece of material. You can't see like the little piece of material.
And so the light comes up and bounces right back. But bam, bada bing, bada boom, you got a lightsaber.
Thank you for inventing the lightsaber real quick. Just as a sidebar, we'll invent a lightsaber.
And that also explains why the light sort of extends when you turn it on, rather than just like appearing at full length.
Yep,
you heard it here. Movie jungle invention. You heard it here, folks.
I've thought about that before. Have that same thought before. But how do you store the? You know what? We're good. We're just gonna pretend your idea is gonna work perfectly, because it will. Yeah. So,
because any other questions can be solved by you just got to find kyber crystals.
Exactly.
Kyber.
That's all you got. That's all you need.
We just got to find Jeddah so we can mine some kyber crystals.
While you were talking about that, I was looking at my lightsaber. And so I thought I would grab it and light it up. I thought I'd grab it and light it up. Are the batteries dead? No. I think the batteries are dead. This is very anticlimactic. Bummer. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to this episode. We had a blast watching Demolition Man and reminiscing about it and talking about it. I'd love to know your thoughts. What did we miss? Because we miss some things sometimes. We missed a big... On the next Harry Potter episode, you'll learn that we missed a big Harry Potter item on one of our episodes. I'll bring that up in the next Harry Potter episode. But yeah, so let us know. What do you think? What do we miss? What are your thoughts? Email us. Please email us. I'd love to read questions and stuff and just respond to you guys, be a little more interactive. So moviejunglepod@gmail.com is the email address. And then engage with us on social and stuff. And, check out that YouTube channel. I might have the video up on Sunday, a day before the podcast goes up on Monday. So maybe if you want to early listen, maybe give that a look. But anything else for the people, Mike?
Email us like Brian said. We'll read the best email out here and respond to it live on the cast. And if you are,
it'll be live for us. You will be listening to a recording.
That's true.
We will be. Yeah.
And if you are like me and you consume most of your media on YouTube and you are listening to this on YouTube, please give it a like. It really helps get this populated into more people's searches, and we can spread the Movie Jungle love.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome day. And I started an outro that I don't know how to finish. I always do this.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Oh, no.